Global history is replete with stories of people fleeing persecution and seeking a better life. The Israelites fleeing Egypt, Protestants fleeing religious persecution in Europe, creating new lives in North America, the Irish fleeing British neglect and famine, the Great Migration of Black Americans from the South, Cubans fleeing Castro. Immigrants have built the world and made it a better place. And that history continues to this day with immigrants fleeing violence, famine, and political instability in Central and South America, and Ukrainians fleeing targeted terror and ethnic cleansing. Some of those heavy topics are top of mind for hundreds of world leaders who are gathering this week for the United Nations General Assembly. The Secretary General opened the assembly with a dire warning that those leaders may not be ready or willing to tackle big challenges.
The divergence between developed and developing countries, between North and South, between the privileged and the rest, is becoming more dangerous by the day. It is at the root of geopolitical tensions and lack of trust that poison every area of global cooperation, from vaccines to sanctions to trade. International relations seem to be moving towards a G2 world. Now we risk ending up with a G nothing. No cooperation, no dialogue, no collective problem solving.
Also today, former President Bill Clinton spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about one of those key geopolitical conflicts, Russia's invasion of a sovereign country.
Some people would like to remain on the sidelines, but in this war you cannot remain on the sidelines because we have real occupation, a real war of aggression that Russia has waged against us. And you definitely have to take sides.
Joining me now is Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, the culmination of a 34-year foreign service career. Her previous posts include U.S. Ambassador to Liberia and Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration. Ambassador Thomas-Greenfield, thank you so much for being here. I want to start there with the thank you. I want to start with the situation in Ukraine. So Russia is threatening to hold these, what can only be called sham elections, and begin to annex parts of the territory that they've invaded in Ukraine. The U.S. Has said there will be consequences if they attempt to annex and, take chunks of Ukraine and annex them. What might those consequences be, do you think?
Look, the Russians know what those consequences will be. This is part of their playbook. They've done this before. They did it in 2014, and it was not accepted, and they know it will not be accepted again. They have been isolated in the international community, and this is a desperate action by a country that does not have confidence in itself. We have imposed some very strong sanctions on the Russians in the past. I won't preview what future sanctions or future actions might be, but they can be assured that we will take action should they move in this direction.
Russia has done everything from attempt to starve Ukraine, stealing their grain, disrupting the global food supply, threatening to turn off the gas in Europe, which probably should be getting off of Russian natural gas and oil anyway. But they're using these tactics that attempt to terrorize all of Europe, not just Ukraine, to say nothing of the clear war crimes that they've committed throughout Ukraine. The United Nations as a body still allows them and admits them. They're still in the Security Council. Does it in some way diminish that body for Russia to remain? And is there some way for them to no longer be a part of the Security Council?
Russia's actions, their aggression against Ukraine has raised concerns and it has raised issues and confidence about whether the UN is fit for purpose today. But we have used the Security Council, we've used the General Assembly to isolate Russia, to condemn Russia, to kick Russia off of the Human Rights Council. They are a permanent member of the Security Council. That is something that we cannot change, but we will not continue to allow them to use that perch to terrorize the world with their actions. So what they can expect will happen this week in the Security Council is that they will continue to be isolated. It will not be business as usual for them. They will hear from the world. They will hear from the President of the United States at the podium of the General Assembly tomorrow, a rebuke of their unprovoked actions against Ukraine.
I want to talk a little bit about Russia has accused, the U.S. of imperialism and saying that our criticisms of their attack on Ukraine is an example of that. We are seeing the world kind of move in a direction to quit empire. We've just seen the burial of the Queen of England, and you see a lot of nations in the Commonwealth saying it's time to release ourselves, to free ourselves. Are we moving toward a world where these old empires will be defunct and we'll see more liberation and more independence for these smaller countries, these Caribbean countries, these African countries that want out?
Well, certainly we're seeing that, but what we're seeing Russia do is go back to the days of empire. The Soviet Union, they're trying to reestablish their empire, which is dead. It's gone. And Ukraine is not theirs to take. It's not theirs to have elections in. They have attacked a sovereign, independent country. And what they are trying to do is recreate their historical empire, and that is not acceptable. And the world has said that to them.
I want to ask you about something that's happening in our country. You did administer issues of refugees and resettlement in your previous role. And we're now seeing states, governors of states inside the United States using legal asylum seekers as political pawns and shipping them around the country. I wonder, what the world makes of us when we're gathering in New York for the General Assembly and sees inside our country governors doing things like that.
It's sad and it's unfortunate and it's embarrassing. These are people, as you noted, who have fled persecution in their countries. They have come to the United States with hope and desires, and we're a country of immigrants. We have always welcomed immigrants into this country, and to have them used as political pawns like this is totally unacceptable, and it is something that is not representative of the values that we believe in this country.
Should we expect President Biden to make a statement about that when he addresses the Assembly tomorrow?
I don't know that he will address that in the Assembly tomorrow, but he certainly has addressed it to the American people. We saw a press conference that he gave earlier this week in which he expressed his concerns and his horror at what is happening to these people.
UN Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield, thank you very much. Really appreciate you being here.